My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democrat. And I love John McCain. I have had the dubious honor over the years of giving some eulogies for fine women and men that I've admired. But Lindsay, this one's hard. The three men who have spoken before me, I think, captured John, different aspects of John, in a way that only someone close to him could understand. But the way I look at it, the way I thought about it, was that I always thought of John as a brother. We had a hell of a lot of family fights. We go back a long way. I was a young United States Senator. I got elected when I was 29, and I had the dubious distinction of being put on the Foreign Relations Committee, which the next youngest person was 14 years older than me. And I spent a lot of time traveling the world because I was assigned a responsibility. My colleagues in the Senate know I was chairman of the European Affairs Subcommittee. So I spent a lot of time on NATO and then the Soviet Union. And along came a guy a couple years later, a guy I knew of, admired from afar, your husband, who had been a prisoner of war, who had endured enormous pain and suffering, and demonstrated the code, the McCain Code. People don't think much about it today, but imagine having already known the pain you were likely to endure and being offered the opportunity to go home, but saying no. As the son can tell you, the Navy, last one in, last one out. So I knew of John. And John became the Navy liaison officer in the United States Senate. There was an office, then it used to be on the basement floor, of members of the military who are assigned to senators when they travel abroad to meet with heads of state or other foreign dignitaries. And John had been recently released from Hanoi Hilton, a genuine hero, and he became the Navy liaison. For some reason, we hit it off from the beginning. We were both full of dreams and ambitions and an overwhelming desire to make the time we had there worthwhile, to try to do the right thing, to think about how we could make things better for the country we love so much. And John and I ended up traveling. Every time I went anywhere, I took John with me, or John took me with him. And we were in China, Japan, Russia, Germany, France, England, Turkey, all over the world, tens of thousands of miles. And we would sit on that plane and late into the night, when everyone else was asleep, and just talk, getting to know one another. We talk about family. We talk about politics. We talk about international relations. We talk about promise, the promise of America, because we're both cockeyed optimists and really believe that there's not a single thing beyond the capacity of this country. I mean, for real, not a single thing. And when you get to know another woman or man, you get to know their hopes and their fears. You get to know their family even before you meet them. You get to know how they feel about really important things. We talked about everything except captivity and the loss of my family, which had just occurred, my wife and daughter. Only two things we didn't talk about. But I found that it wasn't too long into John's duties that Jill and I got married, and Jill is here with me today. 5 years I had been a single dad, and no man deserves one great love, let alone two. And I met Jill, who changed my life, and she fell in love with him, and he with her. He'd always call her, as Lindsay later would travel with, he'd call her Jilly. And matter of fact, when they'd get bored being with me on these trips, I remember going to see Karim and Lise in Greece, and he said, "Why don't I just take Jill to dinner?" I later learned that they're down on a cafe at the port, and he has her dancing on top of a cement table drinking ouzo. Not a joke. Jilly. Right, Jilly? So, we got to know each other well, and he loved my son Bo and my son Hunt. As a young man, he came up to my house. He'd come up to Wilmington, and out of this grew a great friendship that transcended whatever political differences we had or later developed, because above all, we understood the same thing. All politics is personal. It's all about trust. And I trusted John with my life, and I would, and I think he would trust me with his. We both knew then from our different experiences that, and as our life progressed, we learned even more, that there are times when life can be so cruel, pain so blinding, it's hard to see anything else. The disease that took John's life, took our mutual friend's Teddy's life, the exact same disease 9 years ago, a couple days ago. And 3 years ago, it took my beautiful son Bo's life. It's brutal. It's relentless. It's unforgiving. And it takes so much from those we love and from the families who love them that in order to survive, we have to remember how they lived, not how they died. I carry with me an image of Bo sitting out on a little lake we live on, starting a motor on a little boat and smiling and waving. Not the last days. I'm sure Vicki Kennedy has her own image, maybe seeing Teddy looking so alive on his sailboat out in the Cape. And for the family, you will all find your own images, whether it's remembering his smile or his laugh or a touch in the shoulder or just running his hand down your cheek, or just feeling like someone's looking at you and turning and see him just smiling at you from a distance, just looking at you. Or when you saw the seared joy that crossed his face the moment he knew he was about to get up and take a stage in the Senate floor and start a fight. God, he loved it. So to Cindy and to the kids, Doug, Andy, Sydney, Megan, Jack, Jimmy, Bridget, and I know she's not here, but to Mrs. McCain, we know how difficult it is to bury a child, Mrs. McCain. My heart goes out to you. And I know right now the pain you all are feeling is so sharp and so hollowing. And John's absence is all-consuming for all of you right now. It's like being sucked into a black hole inside your chest. And it's frightening.